Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another Nacho Tuesday. And today I have Dom here with StockTrim. He's the founder over there. And without further ado, we'd love if you could introduce your company and what you guys do.
Yeah, for sure. Add-on inventory management systems or systems of record. So basically what StockTrim does is it reads all the data that's in your inventory recording system, whether that's a MRP, ERP, inventory management, e-commerce, or platform, reads all the data, dashboards it, then shows you where the opportunities and dangers are in your inventory, and will then pass it through to suggested purchase order plans. So basically the whole objective of StockTrim is to provide you with a fully optimized inventory. So for our clients, which are mostly small and medium-sized product businesses, what this means is that you can gain additional cash flow through not having too much stock on your shelves when you don't need it. So as many of your customers would know, having your inventory, your cash tied up in inventory is a lost opportunity as far as how you can deploy it elsewhere in the business. And the other thing is that StockTrim prevents stockouts. So it's a service issue. So for those that are selling products or making products, if they're missing a SKU, then obviously that can cause upsets in production plans, but also can really upset customers if they're trying to buy something on a website. So stockouts is a lost opportunity as far as profit and service levels. And the third key outcome for businesses is really the time saving, because StockTrim's automation, it's got a bit of machine learning in there and a bit of AI, and it's a big data play. It's reading a lot of data and it's projecting it out and making it all very simple for business owners to make informed decisions. So that's in a nutshell, sort of what the software does.
Sounds great. What kind of got you to start this company? Where did it all begin? Did you have an experience in logistics or more on the software side?
I'm a sales and marketing guy. I have a co-founder who's a developer, so he's the propeller head in the relationship. So good question. I have an origin story, I guess. In my ad agency, I had a toy business who was a customer, and I in my wisdom decided I'd like to quite buy his business because I saw a lot of opportunities in what he was doing and doing wrong. So I promptly went and bought this business, and it ended up being a massive issue for me. And the issue was that the inventory was a complete mess, and I didn't really see the danger in it because I wasn't experienced in product businesses. Mm-hmm. I'd always been advertising product businesses, but I hadn't been actually managing inventory. So the story is that I lost $1 a minute for a solid 24 months, and which adds up to around about $1.2 million if you're quick with your calendar, with your calculator. But basically, what this all led to was there just wasn't any visibility. There was a lot of guesswork, spreadsheets, and mistakes in how inventory was being planned in that business. And if I had a tool like StockTrim, which for that toy business would have cost $199 a month. If I had that tool, we would have known very quickly where our dangers were, and that would have saved me the bleed that was happening in that business with its cash flow and profitability. So that's the story, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of times you don't know until you look under the hood, right?
Yeah, and there's a lot of businesses out there that right now that think they're pretty good with their inventory, but StockTrim is like a little bit of a body check. As soon as you run your data, it'll show you pretty quickly where your hidden dangers are. And there's lots of businesses out there, especially in e-commerce, that are sitting there with way too much product on their shelf. And some of them are actually almost a liquid because they're so product focused and having as much on the shelves as they possibly can that they actually have too much stock that they're going to sell in the next period. So to raise some capital, they actually have to discount their existing stock in order to get some cash flow back into the system.
Yep. Yeah, and they're just losing money on that too, right? So I guess what do companies currently do to forecast demand? Are they still using a lot of spreadsheets these days, or?
Yep. Yeah. The market we're addressing, is the small medium-sized business market, and it's it's a large market, but it's also a challenging market because a lot of small, medium-sized business owners, they didn't get into business to be inventory managers or data scientists, right? So a lot of them are, they've got a great idea, great product, and they're just scaling. People like their stuff, they're buying it, and next minute they know they're a 1 million turnover, 2 million, they're going up. And then what's happening is they go, yeah, well, I need an inventory recording system. So most of them get a system that records what's coming in and out of their warehouse, right? Makes sense. And most of them got a cloud accounting package like QuickBooks or Xero or something like that. That makes sense as well. So tech stack is stacking up.
Yeah.
And then the thing that we fit in is, after all this nice tech stack going from accounting to inventory management, maybe even shipping software, then they just drop to CSVs or to Excel spreadsheets, basically, and apply some formulas. And they end up with what I call the Taj Mahal spreadsheet. It's usually something that's been created by somebody in the office. Usually one person knows how it works, everybody else is clueless about it, and that's their thing. And this Taj Mahal can be great initially, but then it really has an end of life, and it actually starts impeding the business at a certain point. And smart business operators realize that to scale profitably, they need to fix this end of this tech stack, and that's where StockTrim comes in.
Yeah, I've definitely experienced that myself too. I used to have a consumer products company as well. So, managing inventory was always, not my special, my special, not my gift, I guess. So I was focused on like creating products, selling it, doing the marketing side, of course. But, we'd always
that's the fun stuff, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's what business owners want to do. They always want to do the fun stuff, but a lot of times, it's the money's really made on the margin, right? It's those small little, death by 1,000 cuts that gets a lot of companies.
Yeah, and that's a term I've used before. Is death by 1,000 cuts. There's a number of different ways, but cash, the cash is important in a business, cash flow, and you need to keep the health of your business by really focusing on your supply chain, and some businesses don't really realize they've got a problem until they have a closer look.
Yep, or until it's too late, right? They can't pay for the next inventory run.
Yep, exactly. And then next minute they're going to the bank to get more money to pay for fresh stock when the other stuff is sitting in their warehouse, aging and turning into something that's going to expire or is only going to be moved by discounting, which is a huge problem.
Yeah, exactly. Losing a lot of money there. I guess, what are some common causes for supply and demand mismatches? I mean, you mentioned the spreadsheet, so it seems like, maybe one person kind of knows the spreadsheet in and out, but everybody else on the team doesn't. Is there anything else there that kind of leads to these situations?
Yeah, there's external events. I mean, obviously there's some geopolitical turmoil going on around.
Yeah, I haven't heard of it.
Yeah. You may have heard of it. Yeah. There's things like strikes, port strikes a while ago. There's external factors and there's internal factors. And there's internal. One of the biggest internal factors is just assumptions and human bias, right? That's one. So things like, oh no, we need those things because last year we sold heaps of those, and we're going to sell more this year. Are you really? We need to have a look at that. So one thing we've got back from a customer is like it helps us. It creates discussions. StockTrim creates discussions, so it actually challenges. So it's enough to stop everybody in their tracks from going and ordering what they did last year and saying, right, why is StockTrim saying that? Let's have a closer look at it. And they can override what StockTrim predicts. It's not, you don't have to follow exactly what StockTrim does, but it gives recommendations, and we strongly recommend that those recommendations are followed. But you can still throw your own perception across it. But humans can be flawed, but also a second look at something is always helpful as well. The other thing that happens is just genuine errors. When you're playing around with spreadsheets and you're literally data inputting something, if you get a zero wrong, this can manifest over 12 months into something quite significant. So that's one as well. Customers are innovating. They're adding new product lines. StockTrim will predict new product line demand for you, and implement that, including right down to bill of materials. So all the SKUs, all the child SKUs that are in a parent SKU, it'll forecast those as well. So it really takes the heavy lifting and the head scratching and the administration out of that as well. So, but yeah, a lot of it's just quite basic errors, but extrapolated out, they can be quite significant.
Right now, so how does the smart inventory forecasting work? I'd love to learn more about that. So does it take a look at like seasonal trends as well? Does it account for that? It looks like obviously at like prior sales data as well too. We'd love to learn more about how that works.
Yeah, it looks at seasons. It looks at where your stock is and what volume where you need it based on. So you can look at the demand and volume through different locations. Whether you're a retailer, you've got e-commerce, you're treating your e-commerce platform as your retail shop front, but you might have different depots around the country. So it'll predict all of that based on velocity and seasonality, locations, lead times from suppliers. Any of the data that you've got on your inventory management system, it'll extrapolate, look at, and dashboard out for you. So,
very nice.
Like I said, it's the time. We've had comments that all the bells and whistles as far as prediction goes is great, but sometimes it's just the time saving that actually is one of the biggest values, especially for busy small business owners. Let's say you're in a team of, you got a company, you got 20 people, you might be turning over, $4 million or something like that. You're still in the trenches, at that level. And I can relate because I'm a small business owner, had businesses in the sector, obviously, and a lot of my friends and colleagues have got businesses that size, and you don't really get a chance to sit back and look at everything strategically. You're still tied up, and you've got 50 things to do each day, and poring over spreadsheets for 3 hours of it isn't really what excites you. Like you said, you want to get into the product and marketing side.
Yep, you want to be working on the business, not working in the business as much as possible.
That's it.
Yeah, time is the most valuable resource, really.
Yeah, and automation, smart automation helps you do that. Yep. We try to make it accurate, affordable, and easy to use as possible. We know that our customers aren't inventory planners. I mean, some of our clients do have specialist inventory planners, which is great, but a lot of our clients, the owners, still doing the inventory planning, looking at POs, sending them out, that sort of stuff.
Yep. What would you say about anybody that's maybe a naysayer for automation?
Well, don't knock it till you try it. I mean, look, automation in general. Well, I mean, look, there's plenty of examples of, with a whole bunch of things really, where on the first squeeze, everyone says, "Oh no, nobody likes change." Let's be honest. There's a resistance, and it's uncomfortable. We get a friction sometimes between the owner and the person who had that Taj Mahal spreadsheet that I was talking about. The person who created it, they go, oh, you want to put an automation in to replace my fancy spreadsheet? And I'm not really that keen on that idea, but it really comes down to the dynamics within the business for change and how committed the owner is to. I mean, it's their business, but you want your staff to come alongside. But there's always that change, and I really like to focus on outcomes. Features are great, and we've got some great features in StockTrim. Yep. But when I'm talking to business owners, I just roll out those three. The 20 to up to 40% saving in working capital, the 50% reduction in stock outs, and the 75% time saving. Most business owners go, yeah, they look like some pretty good metrics that could really do some nice things to my business. Yep. Inventory planners, the guys are using the actual software day in, day out. They just want things to make their life easier and make their life simpler and everything to work. So that's slightly different focuses.
Yeah, that's a great way to kind of pitch it too, right? It's really what the outcome is from it. It's not really that automation is just a feature, right? And like you mentioned earlier, you still have human in the loop. So it's just, if you want to take the recommendations, you can, but if you don't, you don't need to, of course.
Yeah, there's a comment about AI right now. Like we've got AI in the software, machine learning. We've had it right from the start. We needed machine learning. It's a sort of basic, early old school AI, right?
Yep.
And then there's generative AI or agentic AI and those sort of things. What we have to be very careful about when we're talking about AI is like, this is AI. We need to have AI in the software that's useful for small businesses. It's all very well having all these bells and whistles, but what does it actually mean?
Yep.
And a lot of the world's very captured at the moment on what's exciting. Like, holy, that's amazing. But is it useful for your business?
Yep.
And yeah, there's some amazing stuff out there, but it's crazy times at the moment regarding AI, and you can be chasing a lot of rabbits as far as the shiny object syndrome, I think they call it. Most entrepreneurs who are watching this will understand exactly what I'm talking about. It's like you can open up your computer, get a bunch of exciting emails about the latest thing, or see something on social media, and it's like, wow, that's amazing. I need that in my business. But how are you going to actually use it, and how much time can you put into making it effective, rather than just chasing a whole lot of different aspects? So StockTrim takes new technology that's out there and makes it very easy to use for the average business owner.
Yeah, that's a great point. I see a lot of people just saying, let's throw some AI on it, or a lot of companies launching saying, we got some sort of blockchain aspect to it, but like, did it need blockchain to solve the problem? Like, does it really need AI? AI is a great tool, but only if it's applied in a way that creates a meaningful impact.
Yeah, there's a tension between where the stakeholders too. Like sometimes stakeholders are your customers, but it also is things like we're a software company. We've got investors. We're raising capital. So there's certain things out there that'll get you way more attention if you just say it and to your investors. Like generative AI is one. It's like, oh yeah, cool. Let's have a look at that. But is it useful? And we are using generative AI in a useful aspect just to help our customers ask general questions of the AI across the whole data set, so with it contained within the integration.
I like that. So you could ask it questions about the data set, like predicting, maybe when do you expect me to run out of inventory? What if we ordered this amount? When would we run out? You could ask it those kind of questions. Yeah,
we're providing all that information, but if you can't be bothered going through the tabs and finding it, you can ask that question, and that's just coming out with our software shortly. So
that's neat.
And you need to be able to query certain things. And the other thing is, how do I use this, or where do I find this thing?
Yep.
The key thing about software is like there's always a learning curve, and and we're all impatient. We're getting more impatient, aren't we?
Yeah.
As consumers,
you just want the answer at your fingertips right there.
Yeah, you just want to get in. It's a work, right? I don't want to learn anything. And guys like Apple and Tesla, to a certain extent, they've got very intuitive interfaces that which I love. You don't really need to read a manual on how it works. It's kind of intuitive. We're trying to make it like that for business owners, because they don't want to sit down and go through months of onboarding to use our system. So we tried to make it so that any business owner can sign up for a free trial and get going within, probably, depending on as fast as the data loads. So depending on how much SKUs you got, it can be anything from 15 minutes to a couple of hours, depending on how much data we have to pull through the API connection.
It's not bad. What kind of integrations do you guys have? I know a lot of business owners, the first question they'll have is, does it integrate with my existing systems? Could you maybe highlight some of those integrations?
Yeah, we have a really interesting way of qualifying our integrations. I mean, we have an ICP. We're firmly targeted at SMB product businesses, and we've got some really strong aspects for manufacturers and wholesalers. But we are rolling out way more features for e-commerce as well. So we got the integrations, the classics for e-commerce like Shopify, BigCommerce, and we got the point of sale ones like Lightspeed and Square, and I hope I'm forgetting a few, of course. But and then we got the classic.
Probably a huge list, so it's tough to remember.
Yeah, we got a huge list. But and the classic inventory management guys like Sin7, Unleashed, Inflow Inventory, Katana, and who else? Zoho, and a bunch of others. So we're sort of covering as many as we can in the markets that we're wanting to play. And at the moment, we do really well in Australia, and the US is fast becoming our biggest market. 75% of our traffic is the US, but we do well in UK, Canada, Australia, United States, and New Zealand, where I'm originally from as well.
Very nice. Yeah, heard nothing but good things about it. Yeah, would love to hear maybe some real world examples where you guys helped the company with some smart forecasting, and how that let us know how kind of improve that company's supply chain.
Yeah, a couple. One that springs to mind is one of our earlier customers, company. That they're an e-commerce company and a wholesale. They're actually a B2B e-commerce company in LA, and they got a hold of us, and they were basically they were marketers, really. They weren't really inventory guys, but they had quite a big business, and they were selling a bunch of paraphernalia mostly around by the looks of it, but around weed actually, and and we've had quite a few customers in the that sort of area, and consumer goods in general, but particularly in some of these emerging industries, and these guys were their inventory was a mess, to the point, like I said, they were struggling with cash flow because they were buying the wrong things. They had them in the wrong quantities, and they really didn't have any visibility across the business. And what they also found, because they're marketers, they found some marketing angles for it. So they used StockTrim also, apart from saving cash and ordering the right quantities. They also used it to decide what to promote, because as they were clearing off the excess, they could look at what they had, what they weren't going to run short of, and were possibly going to have excess of, so they could promote that stuff safely without running into stockouts. So those guys really improved their whole metrics across like the three key things, the cash flow, without quoting specifics about their financials,
definitely
reduce those stockouts, because they were a wholesaler as well, so they were supplying other entities, which is important. If you're a wholesaler, by the way, your whole business is right product, right place, right time, right?
Yep.
And if you can't do that, you've got no business being a wholesaler distributor.
Yep.
So technically, StockTrim should be just a no-brainer, and for importers, exporters as well, the same thing. So, and then obviously these guys were marketers. They didn't really want to be embedded in inventory systems the whole day, so they loved the fact that they could just look at a dashboard, know what to do, and go do it. And because StockTrim does democratize this function in the business, what I mean by that is no person sort of can sit holding on to it. Anybody can jump into the system and have a look, without altering anything, because the system does all the work. The directors could come in and have a look and see what's up, and make decisions, and sit around and have a discussion about it. So they really enjoyed that, and it really changed their business.
Yeah, that's great. Instead of like asking for something and then getting a big spreadsheet, like you mentioned, and not knowing where the first place to look in that spreadsheet.
Yeah, it's like, what is this? What does this mean? Like, StockTrim has we focus on a very easy to use dashboard that visually shows where things are going, and even for most people, they can understand a nice, decent line graph.
Yep. Yeah, easy button, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Nice. So I guess, what other strategies can business use to manage maybe seasonality or demand spikes? Obviously, your system's optimized to kind of handle with some of that.
Yeah, it's basically just we've got different. You can put in different parameters depending on your business. So we deal with all sorts of businesses with different seasonality spikes, fashion, the manufacturing. So these businesses all face different issues. So basically, the system will adapt to it reads the data and looks at what how your peaks and troughs work and adapts to that. So you can change that if you wish to. So you can build in, for example, you've got a traditionally busy time at Black Friday, for example.
Yep.
And this year you're going to do additional sales. You're going to push something a little bit harder. You can jump into the system and tell the system that you're going to actually do something real crazy this year, and you're expecting a higher than normal sales period. So you can actually go in there and encourage the system. Say, look, we really think we're going to do 20% higher, and throw that extra data set in, and it will adjust all forecasts. Now, you might be sitting here in March when your Black Friday's later in the year, but it will go through and look at all your suppliers and your lead times. Some might be in, well, maybe not so much these days with tariffs and things, but in China, for example, with say a 6 week lead time, and some might be just down the road. So it'll look at all these factors and factor in locations and build that all so that you'll have just the right amount of product to fulfill that promotional period and your expected level of sales at that time. So it's taking all that seasonality and fluctuation and bringing it back to the present for when you're doing your POs for those future incidences.
Makes a lot of sense. I guess on that subject, how can businesses future-proof themselves, for any potential inventory supply chain management issues that might come along, especially with unpredictable markets like the trade war and everything going on right now?
Oh, that's a really good question.
Probably no magic answer for that one. Who knows what's going to happen, right?
If you're creative, you can use StockTrim for different things. So you can scenario plan using StockTrim. So you could look at, for example, so you got a supplier who, for some reason, is going to be potentially problematic from a lead time point of view. You could put in a different supplier set and look at alternative scenario based on supplier locations and things like that. So StockTrim recognizes supplier locations, but also locations of your depots and where they are, and so it will give you the implications on when you should order and from who, depending on where they are and what their lead times are. So it can troubleshoot potential roadblocks. Same thing with things like port strikes and or if one of your suppliers just turns around and goes out of business.
Maybe even playing with like the potential tariff rates and like what that would do to your pricing and everything too, right? Yeah.
I mean, a certain amount of pricing information is driven via the system of record, because you've got to remember StockTrim can't act alone around that. It has to align with the system of record, and we have a two-way communication with most inventory recording systems. We have to, because a lot of people, StockTrim will produce purchase orders. It automates purchase orders for you. But the problem is you really do want to push those POs back, and the StockTrim will do this, back into your inventory recording system, because you want your everything to be aligned. You can't just be off ordering and then the system of record not really realizing that stuff's on order. So so the systems are synchronized. So you always have up-to-date information. So that's really important, because the objective is to have an optimized, up-to-date record of your inventory. Yep.
Sounds good. So I guess what are the 3 key takeaways that you want people to learn about your product today and why they should pick it up today?
Oh, geez. 3 key things. Look, people are often looking at these things like, oh, how much is it to subscribe? It's like, just look at it, what the difference between having something like this and not. And most customers, if they really are honest about it, and if I was sitting face to face with them and say, what do you sell? Okay, you sell this. What is each sale worth? This much. What's the cost of not having that item sell? and what's the cost of having too many of those items to sell? And pretty quickly you realize the cost of a subscription to something like StockTrim, which we've boiled down to be very affordable for small businesses. The opportunity cost is like the return on investment is crazy good, right? The other thing that you really need to know is that it's not complicated. We are in an ecosystem where some of the supply chain software can be complicated. I think inventory management systems have a much longer onboarding and learning thing. There's a lot more moving parts. We're a very easy tool to add on. We literally clip on, push a button, load your API key, and it starts pulling your data, and you literally can be up and running within a few hours of even knowing that we exist. What's the other thing? Oh, we have, because we're small and we're a startup still. We're not a huge global. We are operating globally, but we're not a globally recognized software company. It's like we've made it our objective to leap the frog as far as what SaaS companies are like, and we try to employ and interact with our customers as they like to be. And one of my pet peeves with dealing with global tech companies is as they get bigger, they just seem to get harder to deal with, right?
Yep. Customer service becomes an afterthought.
Yeah, and you get handed over. I mean, I don't know about you, but you sign up for something, you go through about 5 different people, and
it's hard to cancel if you want to even.
Yeah, exactly. And you become a little bit exasperated in the process. I know, because I've been a business like what our customers are like. I know how frustrating it is, and you just want someone to just help you to get where you need to go. And so we're very committed to that objective. We're here to help you grow your business. We're not here to sell you some software, right? Our customers will only keep subscribing as long as we're delivering the goods. And we know that. So we're very focused on that. And while our team's mostly based in New Zealand, we don't make our geography an issue. In fact, we've had feedback from American customers. We're way faster to respond to any query than even the American software guys. So
yeah, and you're even taking this call at 10 o'clock your time.
Exactly.
Just like 10 o'clock a.m.
Exactly. So it's no problem for us. We're used to it.
Well, definitely show it. So, Tom, it's been great talking to you today. Where can people learn more about your guys' product?
Yeah, the best thing to do is just go to the website, www.stocktrim.com, and you're welcome to request a demo. There's no charge or anything like that for a demo, a live demo at this stage. We haven't fully automated it yet, or you can do a free trial. And that's the other thing just to mention is, like, guys, you get 2 weeks free access to the stuff. We don't even limit the feature set, so you get free 2 years, so free two weeks. Sorry, and even if you just want to body check your inventory at the moment, just give it a go. We're not going to chase you down and hunt you down and make you pay for it. It's no credit card. Just you get 2 weeks access, no problem.
You guys are definitely SMB friendly. We're glad to be partners of you guys as well. We also have StockTrim in our marketplace, NachoNacho.com. That's StockTrim.com, you said again?
Yeah, that's it.
That's great. All right, Dom. Well, it's been great having you on tonight. And thank you for making the time this evening. And we look forward to growing our businesses together.
Great. Thanks, Andy. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you.
Cheers.